What is it like living in Tokyo? So, a bit of backstory for me. So, I live here since 3 years in Tokyo and I study game programming here. So, the game you see right in front of you is actually made by me in my class, and we're gonna play it. And I'm gonna talk about some talking points I made here on my iPad. And we're gonna talk about what's it like to live in Tokyo. So, let's begin. So this is the game I made in my game programming class. Basically like a train game where you can decide between left and right, and you make choices like who's gonna die and who's gonna live. It's kind of like a game about the trolley problem, kinda. And you also have like money here and guild, and basically if the guild rises to 100, you're gonna die. But we also want as much money as possible. But enough about that. Let's actually talk about the first talking point, which is the city itself. So what is it like to live in Tokyo? I would say the goods about Tokyo is that, first of all, like, I think the city feels pretty impressive. Like, what I mean by that is, right now you cannot see, but right behind my computer there's like an open window and you can basically see the whole city, like from the Tokyo Tower to the Sky Tree to Shinjuku, and it looks impressive. It looks kind of like cyberpunk. And the other thing I like is the trains. I think there's no better train system around the world than in Tokyo. Like, you can go everywhere for cheap and it's fast. So what you see here in this game is basically, I think it's kind of broken here, but basically you can make choices and it tells you in Japanese who the people are that you're gonna kill. You can zoom out like this again. So basically here on the left we got prisoners, on the right we got citizens. So let's kill some prisoners. Then let's also talk about the bad part. Let's talk about the bads of living in Tokyo. Oh yeah, also, in this game you also have a shop. Let's just buy this for now. So what are the bads of living in Tokyo? I think it's pretty obvious. It's basically just like, it's crowded, it's dirty, and you don't have any nature. I think that's basically true about every big city. But I think especially the not having nature part is pretty bad. Because especially in places like Shinjuku or Shibuya, is like, you don't even have like a couple of trees or something like that. So you can actually use the items in here, like Blessing of the Priest. What this will do, I think it will reduce your guild, if I remember correctly. Then let's talk about the next thing. Let's talk about the people. So in this game where we kill people, let's talk about the people of Tokyo. Let's start again with the goods. So what are the goods about the people of Tokyo? So I would say what is good for me is like they're polite, they're kind, and they're also pretty fashionable. Like, you see a lot of good looking people here in Tokyo. Also, this is broken. I made this game like 5 minutes before, like I built it, and something must have broken, but it doesn't change it. So basically what we see on this screen here for the game is like, this is a royal, this is a prisoner, and it just shows you how much money you gain and how much guild you get. But I'm just gonna use this game to like talk about stuff, so we're just gonna kill some prisoners. What are the bads about the people of Tokyo? So I think the bads are, it's a lot of times the people are not really like kind. It's more like a social pressure. So what that means is kind of like they just don't want to stick out, so they don't do certain things. Like, they're not eating in the train because they're so kind. They're not eating in the train because what others would think if they would eat on the train. So here in the game, it's gonna like blur out, and it's also part of the game. But let's continue about Tokyo. So the other bets is like, what I wrote down is you got a strong hierarchy of like superiority. Like, for example, if you're like in school and you're in the first class, and you have someone in the superior class, basically you cannot say anything to them. They're always right and you're always wrong, basically. And that's gonna be like almost everywhere, like school, work, just normal life. I think age and position is very important here. Then the other thing is, basically what I wrote down, it's still very much like the Tokugawa period. Basically what I mean by that, oh, I think it already made a decision. Okay, we have no choice. So basically what I mean by that is the things I was saying before. Like, it's not really about doing good, it's more like about the social pressure, what do others think about me, and what is also very important is like the hierarchy. And these two things were also very important in the Tokugawa period. Basically that means Edo period, where don't act out or you gotta get executed, and basically respect your superiors, respect the Tokugawas, or you're also gonna get killed. And I think a lot of people still have that same type of mindset. Let's kill some citizens. Then the other thing I wrote down is like they're very fake. Like, imagine you cooked a meal, for example, for your friend. And you really don't like the meal, but you also don't want to hurt your friend. So what are you gonna do? Basically, you say, oh, it's so good. I think Japanese people are always like that. Oh, you can also see our guild is quite high. So let me real quick use some of these items before the shop closes. Okay. You can see our guild is like lower right now. What I mean by that is basically they're always fake. Every single time. In school, in their job, everywhere, they never really tell you how they really think about it. And that might be a good thing for some people, but it's also like they never really gonna tell you what's on their mind, and you always have to kind of like read the air. Basically, that means you kind of have to sniff out what they really think, because they're never gonna tell you. So for example, let's say you're on a date or something, and all of a sudden she like brings out her phone and she tells you, oh, my sister was in a house fire, I have to go home. Like, as a foreigner, you would be like, oh, is she okay? But when you live here, you know it's like, oh, this girl just doesn't want you around, and she makes up an excuse. And it's not just girls, it's like everybody is like this constantly. So you have to kind of like live with this. So next, let's talk about work at school. I think a lot of the same things I already was talking before are gonna be the same here, but I also wrote down some new things. Okay, I didn't make a decision. Also, another thing about the game is, if you kill too many people, eventually it's gonna form a sad smiley here. Maybe you're gonna see it in a couple more rounds. But the thing I wrote down, work school, the good thing is like you have a lot of skilled people. Like, a lot of Japanese people are extremely highly skilled, especially in niches. Then in group projects and group work is very important for Japanese people. Basically, here we cannot see anything, so it's just guessing. So a lot of things are not just one person. Like group work is very important in Japan. Citizens. Oh, now you can see the smiley. It's gonna stay like that now forever, I think. And our guild is much too high. Let's use some of these. Cool. 32. And our goal is actually really low. I think there's another item where you can really go crazy. I like once in a previous video got my gold over 1000. So there's ways where you can actually improve your gold quite a lot. But that's besides the point. Then another thing about the goods, about work school in Japan is like, what I noticed in my own school is like everybody's opinions matter quite a lot. So they truly want to include everybody and want to have that everybody has a voice. I think that's very important. I think maybe it's one of these here. No, I'm sorry, I kind of like forgot what they all do. Let's just use some of these. Cool. So what are the bads about work in school? I think the first thing is overwork. I think you probably heard it, like in Japan, how many people are overworked, how there's no extra pay for overwork. Oh, I think we're gonna kill ourselves. No? Okay, something broke. I think this is the moment in the game. Why did it stop? I didn't stop it. So in the game, if your guild rises to 100%, you're gonna kill yourself. But it's still at 70%, but for some reason the train stopped itself. Anyways, let's get going. So overwork. The other thing is like, you have so many bossy people. So I think that's kind of hard to explain. So maybe let me stop the train here to let... Oh, something's... Okay, we died. Okay, we died. Let me start this one more time up. Okay, that was the perfect cue to talk about overwork in Japan, right? So there's lots of bossy people in Japan. What I mean by that is basically everybody wants to be a leader. Everybody wants to be the person in charge. Or that's my experience in Japan in group projects. And that's a problem because a lot of people are just too incompetent to be leaders, in my opinion. So you have people who basically in my school never come to school, only have an attendance of like 50%. They don't really pay attention in class. They don't really know a whole lot. Like for example at this game. I think 70% of this game was made by me. Like the 3D models, the textures, the buttons, a lot of the code for how the train works and everything was written by me. And I'm not the leader. Somebody else is the leader. And the leader wrote about what? Like 5 lines of code for the entire project. And the other time, he basically spent doing nothing. Maybe like watching some idle content or playing video games. But he still wants to be the leader and he still wants his own opinion. Like for example, if I say for something like, oh, I want to do this and this. And then the leader comes and be like, no, we're gonna do it like this. Even though he basically almost did nothing, but he still wants to decide everything. I think people like that, very stuck-up people, there are lots of people like that. And especially if they're like your superior or they're older than you, then you basically have no choice, you just have to obey them. I think that's a very bad thing about Japan, and there's lots of people like that. And then the last thing I wrote down is like you cannot go against the social structure even if the project fails. Like let's say you have the superior, he is lazy, he doesn't do any work, but he's your superior and he's older than you and you have to listen to him. Basically you cannot do anything. Even if you want to save the project and you know better and you have more skill than him and you work harder, you still cannot go against him. Otherwise the teachers or your superior at your work are still gonna scold you because you go against them. And that brings me back to this thing about what I said about the Tokugawa, because in the Tokugawa it was exactly like this, basically to prevent rebellion, to prevent like an uprising, you cannot go against your superior, and if you do, you're seen as like rebellious and you basically struck down. And I think this very like sentiment is still there here in Japan right now. So you always have to follow your superior, you always have to like follow your leader, no matter how basically stupid they are. But that's basically the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know the game ended a bit too soon, but that's basically it. And see you in the next video.